Hey y'all, and welcome. This is, I think, going to be the intro to part 2 of my bookshelf reshuffle slash TBR goals, catchy title, type video. And since I last filmed, which was about a week ago, not too much has changed. I've mostly just been considering what to do. I don't think I've gotten rid of anything else since then, but I've had like a lot of thoughts. Shocking. And one of the things I know that is like really common in the TBR, like reading down by TBR world, is to play a TBR game, have like TBR bingo, have a TBR jar, do a random number generator. And I just want to say I've done all of those things. I've done the TBR jar, not for me. I've made like a massive list of my entire TBR on multiple sheets of legal paper, pinned it up to the side of the library or shelves, like even before this setup. And it just doesn't work for me. I'm very much a mood reader, and I don't know if it's like this aversion. If I say that I have to read something, or this is the next book I'm going to read, or something like that, I instantly don't want to. It's actually kind of become a problem with book club, is that sometimes when I get to my book club book, I don't want to read it because I know I have to. I don't know what it is. There's no explanation. But mostly I want you to know that I have considered those things. I have done those things in the past, and it's just not really something that works for me, unfortunately, because I do think they're so fun. I love watching TBR jar videos. I love people who, I think it's Emily Fox, has different genres are different colors of paper, so she kind of knows what she's getting. I think that's her. If I'm thinking of someone else, I'm really sorry, Emily Fox, not that you'll ever see this, but I like the idea of it. I love a game. I love something that makes you excited about it, because one thing I don't want this to become is a task or a chore, and that will just strip all of the joy from it. So I don't want that to be the case, but I'm not really able to make a game out of it. The only game I could play is shop my TBR, really. So part of that idea, actually, not actually to shop my TBR, but part of that idea would maybe be to separate it out into genres. I would like to put everything on the other shelves. I don't have the other Skinny Billy yet, or the extensions yet, but it would be nice if everything could be like really separate from the main library here. I'm just not sure I'll be able to do that before this really gets full swing. So that is an idea I've also had, is to separate the books out by genre, so that when I'm in the mood for, like right now, I really want to read something horror-ish. I feel like it's been a lot of fantasy, a lot of romance, a lot of lighthearted slice of life stuff. And I don't know, I just feel like I want like a true horror novel, something at least semi-creepy. So that might make it more fun. That might be a more fun way to incorporate not a game, but you know what I mean, like make the TBR a good time. So there's that. Another idea I've had, I'm kind of calling hobby or task stacking. And by that, I mean completing reading, usually in an audiobook format, with another hobby, like for hobby stacking, which would be like building a puzzle. I also really like to cross stitch, and I haven't done it for a very long time. And I've noticed that as long as my hands are kind of busy doing something, I can focus better with an audiobook. If I am listening to an audiobook and like scrolling Instagram, dude, it's going in one ear and out the other, and I just can't concentrate. I do like immersive reading, having a physical copy and the audiobook. That's not always going to be the case, but I do enjoy it. However, dishwashers need to be unloaded, clothes need to be folded, like there are chores around the house that have to be done, and then there are other hobbies that I also enjoy. So I think sitting with a cross-stitch pattern for 45 minutes, an hour in the evening, when we're usually not doing too much of anything before bed, would be a great way to like stack those two hobbies. Same with puzzles. I often take small moments like during my lunch break or in the evenings to also sit with a puzzle. my goal with a puzzle is not to like get the puzzle done. It's the process, I guess, if that makes sense. So that's why I add that to this category. It is great. I have been listening to audiobooks usually when I'm building a puzzle, and it's better than another kind of bad habit I have of watching reaction channels on YouTube, which is just like a really bad guilty pleasure. So yeah, audiobooks are better for that. Additionally, not necessarily a task, but something that happens multiple times a day. It has to happen. And usually I am scrolling reels on my phone while doing it, is taking the dogs out. We have a fenced-in yard. We have 2 dachshunds, and throughout their whole lives, we've kind of just like let them out when they need to go out, and when they're ready to come back in, they come back in. We have a deck, and from the deck there is a set of about 8 stairs down into the yard. Well, since Oliver has gone blind, he's been blind 3 months now. He cannot manage the stairs on his own, which is, I mean, I don't want him to, but it kind of forces us to physically take him out, take him all the way down into the yard and sit with him. He gets anxious if you leave him. I don't blame him. So because we're spending this time taking Oliver out and sitting with them, I have noticed that I will usually take a book or my Kindle with me and sit on the stairs while they explore and do their business and bark at the birds and the squirrels and whatever. And I can take that 15 to 20 minutes to read, and I'm doing that several times a day. So it is a great way to get in even more reading time and just, again, like stack those things that you were already doing. You know, in the past, I could let them out, unload the dishwasher, get dinner started, whatever. Like I could do multiple things while they were also outside, but now I'm having to physically be there, and it's nice. It's nice to be outside. It's nice to get some fresh air, and it's nice to read a little bit. TBR grouping is something else I've been thinking about during this process. And for me, I think you'll probably have seen my summer TBR, and that might give an idea of what this TBR grouping is. I'm also planning to do a translated works TBR, and just maybe make these little like challenges for myself, or maybe not challenge being the right word, but like goals, like get through my translated TBR, or something I'm going to show you the series that I have. And so like that's a big goal for me right now, is to work my way through series I've started, or series where I have the entire series. It's a complete series and I should read through it. There's nothing really holding me back from those. So you will have seen an example of that by now, but that's another way that I thought would bring some excitement to the goal of working through this large TBR. I'm going to show you all of these, and then I think I'm going to show you how I track my TBR. I do this in a few different ways, and I mentioned that I would show you that before, so I will do that. And then for now, I mean, we talked about not being a game person or a TBR jar person, my hobby and like task or chore stacking, sorting my books by genre, that might be something that I do. And then this will be like the TBR grouping. And then I'll go ahead and show you how I keep track of it. And it's not embarrassing at all, I promise. Okay, so for series, the first up is Meg, Hell's Aquarium. This is by Steve Alton. It is part of the Meg series. And this is book 4. I think there are 6 books now, as well as a prequel. I have obviously only read to book 3. I think this came out after I was out of school. I could tell you, couldn't I? Yeah, this came out in 2009. So the first book I read when I was in 7th grade. In 2009, to give you some frame of reference, I would have been a sophomore in college. So a while. It's been like a while. And I think I never got to this, or I started it and didn't finish it. I was probably starting to get into other genres at the time and doing probably stupid shit with my friends, not reading as much. So I would like to read this and finish the series that I have. I mean, I don't have any of the other ones past this. However, it's been so long since I've read them. I don't know if I should just like jump into this and see what happens, or if I should go back and reread. That would obviously make it a longer process. So this one's kind of up in the air. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, but it is on the list. Next up, this is actually in my summer TBR, so I will be reading it very soon if I haven't already. And this is Bookshops and Bone Dust. It is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. And I don't know, with book 2 coming out in November, I just feel the pressure to read this. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I want to read that. And then it kind of, you know, something else takes its place in my brain. Controversially, Business Casual. This is book 4 in, I don't know what the series is. Is it like the Lovelight Farms series? I can't really tell. It doesn't matter. But this is book 4. I did get rid of book 1 because I didn't like it. So I do feel it's necessary to read this and figure out if I like it, or if I want to get rid of it, figure out if I want to give the other books in the series a try. I cannot express to you how little I understand how I ended up with books 1 and book 4, and not like anything in between. I don't know. I can't, if you're looking for those answers, you're not going to find them here. But yeah. Next up is a little bit of a chunker. Now, this is not a complete series. This is 3 books. We have the prequel, which she calls Prelude, and then books 2 and 3. There are 4 books out currently. I have only read book 1. My friend Kat is all over me about completing this series, and I just haven't yet. They are like, that's a lot of book to get through. J.D. Evans is great. I mean, like, look at these really pretty details on the pages. Really great books. I loved the first book. I do remember loving it. And again, not sure if I'm going to have to go back and reread the first one before I can get into, here's the map. We love a map and a fantasy. That's the other thing. This is a, I think, high fantasy, or at least epic fantasy, I don't really know the difference, series of fantasy with romance. I wouldn't call them romantasy. They're fantasy with romance, I think. This is called the Mages of the Wheel series. And like I said, I've read book 1. I have book 0, 2, and 3, and there is a 4th book, but these are priority for me. Next is another duo. This is books 2 and 3 in the Ire Druid Chronicles. I finished book 1. I absolutely loved it. Didn't get into the others. They're great. I love the characters. I love the dog, especially. These are about an Irish druid, kind of godlike immortal, and his Irish wolfhound. They're very fun, very exciting. There was good witty banter, and I don't know, I really, really enjoyed them. And there's so many of them, and I just haven't finished. So I currently have these 2. Like I said, there are more, but it is priority for me to finish these. Next up is a little embarrassing. This is the Complete Fallen Gods series by Hannah Canner. It is Godkiller, Sunbringer, Faithbreaker. I have, obviously, since they're on this list, I have not read any of them. I have all 3. The series is complete with book 3, and I would very much like to read and complete this. Again, if you want to know why I have all 3 in a series, and I mean, I didn't buy them all when they were out. This I just got as a pre-order. This I got probably a year after I got this when it came out. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. Sometimes I just have a feeling about things, and I have a feeling that I'm just going to love this series. So I went for it. I could actually maybe tell you. Joe Hill is blurbed on the back of this, and so maybe that was just a sort of instant buy. Also, the cover is, especially of this first book, Godkiller, is absolutely wild. It's really cool. The name jumps out, obviously. The title jumps out. And it's just something that I remember when it did first come out, and I kept seeing it everywhere, and I'm like, that is so intriguing. So another top priority. This next chunk of books is a little less embarrassing because they're a bit more recent, but also an absolute auto-buy author, T. Kingfisher. This is the Saint of Steel series. Each book follows one of 4, I think, kind of berserker paladins from the Saint of Steel. I think his name is Stephen. He is like a god, and I think he dies, and the paladins are just sort of left to their own devices. Paladin is not a word that I am super familiar with, and when I looked into it, it seems to be equivalent to a knight. These are set in the same world as the Clockwork Boys and Swordheart. and I very much look forward to reading them. I do believe I have a couple of these on Audible as well that I got in a wild deal, so I can do more of that immersive reading. My next chunk is the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osmond. I have read the first book. I bought the second one after that, and then pre-ordered the third and pre-ordered the fourth. There's a fifth coming. He has written another book in between, and I still have all of these unread. So again, very high priority. I remember the first one well enough. I don't feel that I need to go back, but if you're not familiar with this series, it follows, I believe, 4 octogenarians in a care home, and they are out here solving crimes and maybe getting into some dangerous situations while doing so. Anyway, it was really fun, and I look forward to finishing out the series that I have, and I think that 5th book might be the final one. Another full series that I had thrifted is The Golden Compass. It's actually His Dark Materials, I think, is the name of the series. The Golden Compass is the first one. I think I know there's a movie, and I believe a TV show was even made trying to adapt these. I don't think any of them did particularly well. I have read the first book, but it was so long ago that I don't feel comfortable jumping into books 2 and 3 without going back to this. I do also believe I started book 2, but maybe didn't finish it. And if I did, I don't remember enough of it to go. So I just think it is for the best probably to reread all of them. Also, these are either young reader or YA. I don't remember the exact age group. This is one for me that it's best to just go back and reread. Another complete series that I have, another complete series that I have is possibly the most embarrassing of all, and that is the Gold Rush Ranch series by Elsie Silver. Yes, the spines line up. We have mountains, we have horses, we have trees. Not read, have not read a single one of her books. I do own 7 Elsie Silver books because I think the other series that I started collecting is the Rose Hill series. And recently they have announced that that is going to be made into a TV show. I believe Amazon is doing it. Anyway, all that to say, the time has come. This is a complete series. Rose Hill is not a complete series yet. That's why it's not going to make this specific list. There are rules. The rules were made up by me, so they're very loose and wild and probably make sense to no one else. However, this is on the list. This is not in the summer TBR, but I kind of want to binge this. I think it's going to be great. I do think I'm really going to like Elsie Silver. I'm praying for vindication on that front because I do have so many of her books. And I'm not read a single thing that she's ever written. There is no reason for it, okay? But here they are. They're really pretty. A little less daunting is book 4 of the Kings of the Ice series by Candy Steiner. I've read all the other ones. There's no reason I shouldn't have read this by now. I pre-ordered it. I believe it came out in April. It is now June 6th, I think. And I still haven't read this. I also have the Kindle and I also have the Audible because when Candy puts out a book in this series, I pre-order everything. I've been doing that since book 2. It just makes sense for me. I like the little more discreet covers because I don't really like the dudes on the cover. They're like, it's not for me. But I do like these ones. And these are hockey romances. All of the dudes are on the same hockey team. That's the connection. Last but not least, in this little series of back in January, I had a little bit of a rant about Onyx Storm and the whole series in general. But I need it off of my TBR, so it either needs to leave this house or it needs to be read. And I don't think I'm ready to say goodbye to Violet and Basgaeth and all of the dragons quite yet, especially Tiny. I don't know why. I have a soft spot for Tiny. Yeah, the thing is, I'm gonna have to do a reread. I already know because there's so many little minute details that everyone is blowing up into big theories. And if you've heard a theory, it's hard to wash that from your mind. So my plan, I have seen that my library actually has the dynamic audio of all of these. They even have part 1 of Onyx Storm so far, and then part 2 is actually not even released yet. So the library will have it, I'm sure, as soon as it's released. So my plan, I think, is to listen to these, probably exclusively listen to these, and do it in that dynamic audio, full cast, sound effects. It is probably abridged. That's fine for the first 2 books. I don't know how it'll affect this book, but I'm not that concerned. I need this off of my TBR. It's really, I mean, it is pretty. It's weighing heavy on me, this one. And I know I said I wasn't sure if I wanted to finish or continue on with the series, but I think I do. All right, so I think we've talked about everything I kind of wanted to cover in this portion of the video. This might be the whole video. I really don't know. This is like a day-to-day thing. But last for right now, whilst I'm sitting here, I will show you how I track my TBR, how I keep up with it, how I add books to it, and what makes it fun for me. So we'll just turn you around, put you on the desk, and yeah, don't make fun of me. This may not be the most ideal setup, but this is what I have right now, and so this is what we are going to go with. So I do keep a written TBR in my planner. This is the Sterling Ink B6 Slim Full Year Compact, blah, blah, blah. Isn't he cute? Oh my God, he's so cute. If you get the not compact, there are, I think, double the amount of note pages. So yeah, back here in this little tab is where I keep the physical TBR. The only thing I kind of regret about doing it this way is that I did add my Audible and my Kindle items, and I am no longer considering those part of the physical TBR just because I own that version of them. It's not physical TBR. That it doesn't hold the same weight on me as a physical book on my shelf. Those are in the internet world, if you know what I mean. So yeah, what I do here is I have title, author, genre, format, and then multiple formats. I try to put those. I try to make it clean and simple as possible. Also, if something is part of a series, I have noted that here. So like Hell's Aquarium that I just showed is book 4. And then I also have The Lock by Steve Alton, which is book 1, but I don't have anything else in that series, so we're leaving it alone. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've done. And then once I finish a book, I do highlight it. And as you can see, there's not a ton of highlights on these first bits. Here you'll see the books that I decided to get rid of. We talked about those. We went through those. I just struck those through. Nothing crazy there. So not a huge amount of highlighting, right? It doesn't look like I've gotten through very much at all until we get to 2025. So I did start new purchases here just to kind of, if I wanted to keep track of when I started buying in 2025 and what I was getting. There is an uptick in the read books there. A noticeable uptick in those books read. You can tell that I'm much more excited about these newer books that have been coming in and reading those at a much faster pace. That is another huge reason that I really want to get back into these older books and get things read, find that excitement that I had when I first bought them and read them. So that's that. These were in alphabetical order by author. I don't know if I mentioned that until we hit, 2025, which I think, I just went past, is here. Before that, they were alphabetical order. Then they just became the order that I bought them in. So that's that. And now I'll show you my Google Doc. Alrighty, so this is my other method of tracking my physical TBR. It is a little easier to keep this up to date in the moment and then to be able to sort it as well. It's also a great way if I want to quickly find like a horror book or a particular author, I can find that really quickly. I also do the same tracking with the series, if they happen to be in a series, which number they are, and in some cases even the name of the series. So this gives me also an accurate look at exactly how many books I have. Oh, and we went past it. There are 306 unread books. I know we didn't do that before as part of the as part of the first video because I was kind of getting rid of things, keeping things, not sure exactly what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to kind of sit with it for a while, see if anything else came in, if anything else went out. And this is our end number. 306 books on the Physical TBR is the number I'm starting with today. It is June 6th. I don't think I've read anything recent. Well, that's not true. I did finish the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez last week. So that was great. That felt good. That was Physical TBR and that was a series to finish out. So that felt great. And yeah, I mean, that's where we are. It's a lot of books. I'm not going to let it overwhelm me. That's just a number. For me, it is just a number. It looks like the number as of today is going to be 306 unread books. Again, I don't have a number I want to get to by the end of the year. I don't have a number per month I want to get through. I just want it to be a priority. And any way that I can make that fun, enticing, enjoyable, and successful, I'm going to do. I don't want it to become a task. I don't want it to become a chore or something that feels overwhelming and not enjoyable, because the books are, after all, to be enjoyed. If I decide to split things up by genre, I'll let you know. I am kind of doing a lot of specific TBR stuff, so I have books pulled out here, there, and everywhere. So it's a little bit messy right now, which would either be a great time to reorganize or the worst possible time to reorganize. We will see. We will revisit that. And if I happen to do it, I'll let you know. If I don't, I'm sure I'll mention it at some point. Hey y'all, I think this is maybe going to be my final clip for this part 2 of the shelf reshuffle TBR goals. I don't remember what I called it, but I'm thinking of wrapping it up. After filming my summer TBR, I realized that I did want to keep things a little bit separate, and that kind of plays into the TBR grouping that I had talked about before in an earlier clip in this video. With that in mind, I kind of did put them on the other shelf I have in this room. Again, haven't gotten the extension, haven't gotten the extra skinny billy, and nothing is secured, anchored to the wall yet. So I don't have a lot of options for space, but this is kind of what I'm doing. I just wanted to show you real quick. Okay, so we're back in a familiar position. This cord still hasn't been moved, don't mind that. And then these are all my puzzles. I have like built, unbuilt, it's really not that important. And then this is where I put some of my books. These are the series here, these 2 stacks that I showed you earlier in this video. And then this is like my summer TBR. That video will have well been out by now. But like I said before, I just kind of wanted to keep them separate for the time being so that I could see a physical benchmark, I guess, of how far I've gotten in each of these little sections. So I also have probably a translated TBR, unless I read through a bunch more of those and it doesn't make sense to make a video. I had planned on doing that as well because I do have a big chunk of them. I think at the end of June, I'll show you what physical TBR books I was able to get through, which ones I'm going to keep, and if there are any that I am deciding like to get rid of. So far, that hasn't been the case, but just kind of my idea going forward for what this type of content is going to be like, because I'm not planning to film like large scale hauls. I thought it might get kind of boring just staring at those same 3 stacks of books on the shelf. So yeah, just to wrap it up, I think this is my plan going forward. I think I've outlined it pretty okay for me and my sort of manic, like all over the place brain. I do want to say thank you very much for watching this. I intended for this to be like maybe 1 or 2 videos and then like check in throughout, but I'm actually enjoying talking about what my thoughts are and what my process is going to be for reading down this large TBR that I have. I have continued to buy some books. I have continued like to get some pre-orders in. So like that'll be shown. That I think is just going to be the way it is. But if I can stop buying 25 books a month and maybe buy 6 books a month, then I can clearly read more than what's coming in. And I think it will be a much more manageable situation. Some months are going to be heavier than others, as kind of, you know, as usual. June, I think I had like 2 or 3 pre-orders. July might be heavier. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I know this is a lot of chatter and a lot of rambling on, but I really am just taking it a day at a time. It is storming really badly. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. But again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll come back for more. I have some different things in the works with hauls sort of moving out. I'm trying to be a little more diverse. So yeah, thanks for being here. I hope you come back soon. Bye.